This is Sean Morgan with the Patriot Freedom Project, and I'm here with Eric and Lisa, two January 6th defendants, mother and son. And I'm looking forward to getting your story. This is the first time you've ever talked with anyone, like the media or anyone sharing your story, so really appreciate you doing that today. I'll give the microphone to Eric and just ask you, Eric, about what happened on January 6th. You were attending the protest. What happened on that day and what happened after?
Yeah. Well, we'll start by saying we really kind of went last minute, made a decision to go hang out with a bunch of freedom-loving American patriots for probably the last time for the next 4 years at least. And, we hung out. We had a great time the night before. We actually slept in a little bit past. We missed Trump's speech. And made our way down to the Capitol where there was another event that's supposed to happen. And we get there, everything was pretty relaxed, everything was calm, people were chanting, waving flags, the Pledge of Allegiance, everything was, going on pretty, regularly. And then, out of nowhere, I just see, pepper balls raining down, concussion grenades starting to go off in the crowd. And so that's when I clicked record on my phone that was on my tactical vest at the time. Just because I knew things were starting to get a little out of hand, But we never saw any violence. We never saw anybody fighting. We heard, word passed down that the Capitol doors were open and they were letting people in. So my mother and I decided that, if this is what's going on, we want to go, take a look, be a part of history. They're letting people in. We go in. We walk around, we take a very untimely tour of the Capitol, and I happened to stumble across a bag of zip ties, flex cuffs. And there were some bad actors in the crowd that were kind of being a little rough and rowdy. So I kept getting onto them, like, this is our Capitol building. We're not here to damage anything. We're not here to be Antifa.
We're not Antifa.
Yeah, I used some strong words. And I told them, if you break anything, I break you. Like, we're not doing any of that. So they happened on these bag of flex cuffs. So I didn't like these guys to begin with, so I took the flex cuffs out of their hands and thought, hey, these are actually pretty cool. I'm gonna hold on to these. And then moments later, we found our way into the Senate gallery, and that's by complete chance. Had no idea where we were going. And that's when the famous zip tie guy picture was taken while I was just casually stepping over a rail. With some flex cuffs in my hands. And you can actually hear the audible click from the shutter of that picture being taken. And it's projected my life and changed it for forever just off of a one-frame photo. And, calmly looked around, realized this is not the place for us. I don't know how we got here, but we don't need to be here.
And you said that.
Told my mother, like, hey, Mom, we're leaving. Like, we're done. This isn't a place for us. Let's go. Made our way out. Never fought with any officers. Never even had any words with any officers. Other than when we first walked in the building, we asked, is this okay? The officer said, we don't agree with your politics. We respect your rights to be here. So you figure you're good to go, right? Everything's fine. We're good. And so we made our way back outside, kind of hung out for a little while. There was some, conversations, some socializing. Everything was fine. Made our way back to the hotel, and, that was it. The curfew was set out. Actually, later that night, I was actually accosted by the Capitol Police because I had a taser on my hip. They thought it was a firearm.
At the hotel.
At the hotel lobby, and they kind of surrounded me and made this whole ordeal about it, and ended up being just a taser. And they decided to keep the taser, even though it's legally to carry in D.C. as the only form of protection other than pepper spray. And, let me go. Next day we left, and that was our whole January 6th experience. Never saw any fighting.
For 11 minutes.
Yeah, inside for about 11 minutes, 11 and a half minutes, nearly 12. Not a whole lot of time to insurrect or overthrow anything. So we didn't really think much of it, Obviously, we were like, that probably wasn't good. That wasn't a good thing that happened. We're we're nervous about what the next steps are going to be, but as far as it goes, nobody was telling us to, stay here, don't leave no one was detaining us. So, and that was the whole experience. We didn't do anything crazy. We didn't do anything abnormal. We just had a good time, hung out with some patriots, chanted USA, said the Pledge of Allegiance, several times, sang the national anthem several times, and that was pretty much it.
So then when did you get accused of being insurrectionist, the legal process?
Let's see. So we left on the 7th, right? And by the time we got home later that night, social media was blowing up. Local news was, they had already identified us and accused me of being everything from an oath keeper, the Proud Boys, a 3%er. I was the lead, this, that, or whatever.
Who are you really?
Just a normal guy. I was
He's not associated with any organization.
No, I was just a normal guy bartending that decided to go to the Capitol. And every time I said, I'm just a normal guy, I'm just a regular guy, they're like, no, you have to be you're a this, you're a that. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
An expert with zip ties.
An expert was, yeah. Apparently I was going to, kidnap everybody and torture them or whatever, hold them for ransom. I don't know. There were so many different tangents they went down, assessing my whole gear, the patches I had on my, I had a Don't Tread on Me American flag and a thin blue line. And so they were accusing me of being everything under the sun, but really I was just a bartender from Nashville. And I went to work the following day, took the time to reach out to somebody that I knew that was pretty well versed in everything that was going on over the last year, or the summer of love. Got some advice. I was like, hey, I was at the Capitol, I went in the building, what are my next, what should I do? And they're like, get a lawyer, so we kept calling. Nobody would touch it, not with a 10, 20 foot pole, nobody wanted to pick up a January 6th defendant. So I ended up staying the night at a friend's house, and the next morning I woke up to my brother calling me saying, hey, guess what? The Secret Service, the ATF, and the FBI were just here looking for you, Apparently they had raided my apartment. They didn't bust the doors down, but they pounded pretty hard. My brother answers in his, his boxers and stumbles to the door like, what do you want? Oh, hey, what's up, They pull him out of the apartment, handcuff him, set him on the steps in his underwear in January, so it's pretty cold. While they're searching the house over, they got the cache of weapons. I'm a firearms advocate, or a collector of firearms, so I have a substantial collection.
All legally owned and properly stored. Very
legally owned and stored. Didn't take a single one up to D.C. Respected the gun laws and everything else. So he calls me up, and of course, they were like, they're listening. It's on speakerphone. And like, wait, where you at? What's going on? Where when are you coming home? And I'm like, look, tell them, give me the agent's phone number. I'll get in contact with them, and I'll turn myself in. Just give me a few hours to tie up my loose ends. And that was the 11th. And at that point, that's when I was in custody. Was January 11th.
Well, let's pass the microphone to Lisa. And so, Lisa, what about your situation? What were you charged with, and were you on house arrest? Were you in prison? What happened?
So we both got charged with 1512, the obstruction felony. They took us into custody. He went into custody, and then I said, well, I told the FBI agent, I said, I was with him. I did whatever he did, so I'll be going next. So I just kept in contact with them until the grand jury. I don't even think we had a grand jury. I think they just did a complaint or something and arrested me on a complaint a couple of days, 4 or 5 days later. Mm-hmm. Just let me do whatever I was doing. Why raid me? Why raid the house when you could have just called me and we could have self-surrendered peacefully as we did? And then they kept on doing that for years to other people who would have just come to the office if you called us, or knock on the door and not point guns at people's children Anyway, I'm on tangents already. So 1512, so the obstruction charge and various misdemeanors, just the same misdemeanors everyone has. So they took us, when we went into custody, we had a bond hearing. Our initial bond hearing was in Nashville, and the judge said, well, you can go home. We have, conditions. We had ankle monitors. We had to live with a guardian. We couldn't use the internet. We couldn't have a VPN. We couldn't speak to each other or anyone else who went to January 6th. We couldn't have email or any social media. So we accepted that condition, but then the DC, I think it was Judge Mehta, said, no, you have to come to DC. So then they sent us to DC, and we stayed there like 3 months. I was in solitary confinement. The guys had a pod, but I was alone. So they made me a maximum security prisoner, and I was a 57-year-old nurse for 30 years, no criminal history, no violence, not even accused of violence. They made me a maximum security prisoner. I had to be shackled, manacled, and chained to go to the shower. I was allowed out of my cell 5 hours a week. And my lawyer was furious about it. He was a 20-year lawyer. He's like, I have never seen this. This is not a thing. So he fought really hard to get us out of pretrial confinement. So, and then they call it the Munchell defense. Yeah. And he got an award for making the Munchell defense, which says you cannot hold people based on their group identity or their speech. You can only hold them according to their individual characteristics, which you would think would be natural law, but apparently it was law. But they violated that law for us, because we were so-called terrorists. Yeah. So we had that, and then we got out. When we got out, we had all those conditions, and then I wasn't allowed to see my son or to speak to him for 3 years. Wow. One time he had to petition the court to call me on Mother's Day. Yeah. To get a
court-ordered motions to call each other for Mother's Day or on Christmas
or to coordinate on our case. We had to ask the judge to speak with our lawyers to coordinate on our case. Right. And it was just devastating to normal people who have no history with the criminal justice system, how it really works, what a travesty it was, and how they can just, basically the FBI had us treated like, my first lawyer said, basically what you probably did was trespass, but what they're doing is treating you as Al-Qaeda. Right. You are on a terrorist list. You are being investigated by the Joint Terrorism Task Force. And they don't have to legally charge you with that. They can persecute you and invade every part of your life and investigate your relatives all to like 3rd degree and everybody who's your contact because you're a terrorist. And I was like, I'm a nurse, I'm a mother, I'm a Christian, I'm not a terrorist, I'm a normal person who walked in a building for 11 minutes.
Mm-hmm. It's absurd. So was the final legal remedy a pardon from President Trump?
No. First we got the 1512 Fisher. I hope you interviewed Fisher. So the Fisher case went to the Supreme Court, the obstruction charge, which is the 20-year felony. They just had to put that on 300 people because they couldn't come up with any other felony. So they made one up that did not apply to us at all. And finally, it went through the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court decided it didn't apply to us. And that was like in July of 24, and they did not vacate our charges until November, right after the election. After they solved what time it was after the election, they vacated our felony. Mm-hmm. But I had become a felon in 23, so I was a nurse, so they took my nursing license away. So they said it was because I have a felony. And so then, of course, I've been a nurse my whole life. I don't have any other skills, and I really couldn't get a job. So then after it was vacated, and then after our pardon, the pardon took away the misdemeanors. And so then I was basically pardoned of misdemeanors. Then I still don't have my license back. It's not like you just get it back. It's more than a process. You need money and a lawyer to make them do the right thing.
Right.
Yeah. So that was, to me, I didn't go to prison. My son had to go to prison for a year. And having your son in prison is very hard, especially when you were with him and you could, I feel guilty, I feel responsible. But he's a man, he does his own thing, I've been informed. But it's just, I don't know. I feel I was naive about the justice system, and I thought it was different than what it is.
Well, we're running out of time. Can I get a summary from you guys about what you're going to be doing looking forward in your life and where you go from here?
Yeah, so I would like to convey that everything that happened to me is not all negative. Throughout the experience of January 6th, I have always been improving my situation in my life. I rededicated my life to the Lord while I was in prison, in the Gulag at first. Discipled to many people, helped them through very dark times in solitary confinement when they've just been ripped from their families. I was in the quarantine side. So I got to, encourage them, come by with a daily prayer, a daily smile, tell them good night, good morning, how you doing, all that other stuff. I met my wife on pretrial release, at our church. I got married, I had a kid, I'm a father, I'm building a family. I'm stronger in my faith, I'm stronger in my resolve, and I'm stronger as a human being mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So everything that happened, there's a lot of people that get hyper-focused on the negative parts, how it ruined their lives. But I just want to encourage people to, in dark times like these, look at the small area of light that's breaking through the clouds and focus on that. So what I want to do with my life and how to carry on after this is to encourage people that are in terrible situations, to guide them through, this is the darkest time of your life, but it doesn't have to define you as a human being. It doesn't have to direct the rest of your life, to control the way you think, the way you operate, the way you act. There is a lot of reform that needs to happen in our country as far as the judicial system. Why they persecuted us was unique to us, but the way they come after us and the way that they destroyed our lives is almost universal to anyone that you meet in prison. They've been ripped away from their families. They've been thrown away to prison for 20, 30, 40 years. I've met several men that will never leave prison. They'll die there because they made one wrong mistake when they were a teenager. So what's not unique to us as far as the way the justice system will steamroll them and throw them away forever. I would love to see more change in that. I don't know what my role in that would be, other than to just be a voice, be a face, be a figure that would encourage people that are going through that to persevere with strength, to get stronger in your faith, and to hold on to what your core values and your purposes in life is. Find that and hold on to it, and just don't let it define you.
What they meant for evil, God meant for good.
Absolutely.
You can use it for your good. No matter
Jeremiah
how
29:11, it rolls through my mind.
If you're in a bind, always pray Psalm 31.
Mm-hmm.
Always pray Psalm 31.
But where it goes as far as my role in all of this, I'm just now opening up to the public in this aspect. Yeah. So I look forward to working with the Patriot Freedom Project, with everything that Cynthia's got going on with the weaponization watch. If there's a role for me in that, I'm open to it. Obviously, I want to, as much as we want to put this all behind us and pretend like it never happened and go Jeremiah Johnson style out in the woods, unfortunately, I don't think that I can do that, consciously and morally. I can't just sit back and watch the government and the country continue to steamroll people and ruin their lives. Yes. So whatever that means, I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Awesome.
I don't know.
God bless you guys.
Thank you. God bless you and the work that you're doing. We appreciate it. We always have.
Maybe Cynthia can tell me something I can do. We're just getting our voice. We haven't spoken. We've been quiet.
Well, sharing your story is a big part of affecting change and education to the public.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We look forward to going deeper into our story.
Awesome.
Thank
so
you.
much.
You're welcome.
We're done. Thank you
Thank
so
you, Eric.
much. Good.
Appreciate
I didn't
it.
have to talk
Thank you,
too
Lisa.
much. It makes me sound nervous. I'll talk to anybody in person, but on a camera or in public, I'm
You guys did
terrified.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you, honey. Let me get my soda.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I think that door didn't shut right last time I was on it.